next guest has been perhaps the most visible critic of Obamacare and supporter of freedom in America. She's been doing it on the national stage now for quite some time, recognizing the urgency of the matter. Congresswoman Michele Bachmann, good friend of the family. How you doing?
Good. I'm happy to be here. Thank you for hosting this tonight.
Well, thank you for all the work that you've done.
Absolutely.
Now, I have to ask you, because you have been out there across the country really for the last year, and this has been central to your campaign as president, the issue of freedom. What are the American people saying?
Well, they don't like Obamacare. It isn't just the statistics. When you talk to people, they want nothing to do with it because they recognize that Obamacare means denial of care. They get it, that they're going to get an awful lot less and they're going to have to pay an awful lot more. People are smart enough to realize that's not a good deal, and we were all lied to. President Obama said that the average household would save $2,500 a year on health insurance. Well, people don't see that. It's been a spike and an increase, and instead they've already seen that cancer drugs for women have already been denied. That's just the beginning. People don't want it. They're very, very clear about that.
There's a lot at stake here. This is not just about health care. I mean, this is about, as Ken Klukowski was talking about, I mean, if the issue here happens to be health care on the front of this, it's kind of the wrapper on the box, but what's in the box is really a loss of freedom. And this is an attack on freedom as Americans.
Well, it is, and there's a great article in the Wall Street Journal, and it said that the question before us is, will we change our form of government? Because up until this point, we've been a constitutional republic. This is the end of a constitutional republic. Now think of that. That's momentous. They ask the question, is this the hinge upon which our Constitution will turn and be done? Because if Congress can mandate that you do something and you have no interest in doing it, you're inactive, and they force you to do something, buy a product or service against your will, there is no limit, there's no ending, there is no stopping them. And so we are now today the brokest nation in the history of man. There's never been another country that's been more broke than we are broke. If you add on the largest expansion of an entitlement in the history of our nation, that's it. There is no way for the family to be able to come out, because this is something your listeners should know, Tony. The average health insurance policy for a family by the government is estimated to cost $20,000 a year. How many families can absorb that cost? A $20,000 health insurance policy, especially when a lot of employers, 20 million Americans are expected to lose their health insurance policy. And so then you're forced to go out and buy one. Now, this is radical, what's about to happen. That's why you had mentioned at the very beginning of our segment, urgency. That's why I ran for President of the United States. I saw that there was an urgency. This bill, for the first time in American history, has taxpayer-funded abortion. We will never get rid of it. Now we've seen that we have the taxpayer finance contraceptions. On every single level that we care about with the family, we will lose. We will lose, because this is the biggest social engineering playground. And under Obamacare, there's already been over 100,000 pages of regulations that have been written. This is a bill that will never finish being written, because whatever the left wants, they just wave a magic wand and they'll get it. And they get it because the law has already told them they win and the family will lose. And there's only one chance, Tony, to defeat this. That's in this election cycle. And I realize we're not here talking about politics, but I just want to add this for myself, not from you. I want to add that in this election this fall, all of our chips are on the line. And we have to have a president who will be committed to repeal Obamacare. We have to have a Senate committed to repeal and a House committed to repeal, because there's only one shot at this. The bill is fully implemented in 2014. The next presidential is 2016. It's too late. We get one shot. That's why this is so ultra important.
Well, and I want to encourage you to get a pen and paper, because in a minute I'm going to give you a site where you can go, because to dovetail with what you said, Michele, we're going to encourage people to take a pledge not to vote for anyone who will not repeal.
That's right. I agree with that 100%. 100%.
If the court does not resolve this, then the next Congress has to.
And I believe that the Congress ultimately, Tony, will have to resolve this. That's why I was the first member of Congress to introduce the full repeal of Obamacare. It really is Congress's responsibility. And I think that's one thing I did contribute to this presidential campaign. When I started, we had candidates who weren't going to repeal Obamacare. Today, the 4 remaining candidates that we have all said that they will repeal this bill. It's now our responsibility to hold those candidates' feet to the fire. And we have to put a plank in the Republican Party platform, and the Democrats should too, that we have full-scale repeal of Obamacare.
Congresswoman, let me ask you this. This reached its 2-year mark since Obamacare was signed into law. But the public polling data shows that the opposition is growing. It's not abating. There's not a...
It's highly unpopular. Everyone hates this bill because they're seeing, again, what I said at the beginning of our remarks, that people are going to get a lot less. It isn't about new goodies that government gives you. The president is trying to make a big deal out of contraceptives. I'm just telling you, the future is not what you're going to get. The future is what government will take away. They're going to be taking away access to care and treatments and pharmaceuticals, and we will not recognize health care. Even 5 years from now, we won't recognize health care in this system.
Well, I just want to thank you for bringing this to the forefront of public attention. And I think in part you're talking about it, making it a central issue in your presidential campaign is in part what has kept this at the forefront of people's discussion and minds, and why the opposition is growing. Unlike what usually happens, people kind of warm up to it and they just settle. People are not settling.
And I think this Supreme Court hearing, it's unprecedented for 3 days. I'll be in the chamber tomorrow when the justices are arguing. I think this level of visibility reminds people again, and that's why I commend FRC for doing this, because people need to realize this isn't a back burner issue. This is front and center. It's President Obama's signature piece of legislation. It defines him as a president. And remember, he recently said that he's going to be more flexible after the next election, which means if we thought we saw out of control government activities before, we haven't seen anything yet.
You're absolutely right. Congresswoman Michele Bachmann. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Well, folks, we do have some action steps for you, and I want to encourage you first to be praying for this situation. As has been mentioned, it's in the court. The court is hearing oral arguments on the case yesterday, today, and tomorrow they'll be hearing the arguments. And I think it's absolutely important that we be praying, because so much is at stake in the outcome of this case. I mean, we're talking about not just the quality of health care in America, and that alone is important. We're talking about freedom. We're talking about, as Congresswoman Michele Bachmann said, we're talking about our constitutional form of government.